What is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I'm driving home from work on a Sunday. I started my day at work today. The first podcast I listened to was the Wrestling Ringer podcast, hosted by good old Shoes, who used to be a part of Cheap Heat in its first run as a wrestling podcast with Paul Rosenberg. And Shoemaker hosted a panel, not really a panel, but he just hosted an interview with CM Punk at the Fanatics Fest this weekend that is going down. I think WWE is flooding your timeline with videos of Triple H handing sports titles to different sports legends that are there. I saw him handing Stephen A. Smith and New York's Nick title. I saw basically them handing it Kevin Durant a Phoenix Sun. No, they gave him a University of Texas title. But it's crazy the amount of interactions that this fan fest has been able to give them. Of having, other big names and them be in the same place at the same time. But I made a video about this the other day. I don't know where the interview was with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I did read the results of the interview on a wrestling page. It basically was like Stone Cold Steve Austin talking about not going to Philadelphia because of the fact he just didn't want to leave Nevada. He didn't want to leave his ranch. He just didn't want to go to Philadelphia. It was nothing about Cody Rhodes. It was nothing about The Rock. It was nothing about WWE and not having Vince McMahon around anymore. He's just at an age he just doesn't want to be far away from home. He didn't want to travel there. He didn't want to travel back. But he basically was saying, WrestleMania 41 is going to be in Las Vegas. Last time he looked at a map, Las Vegas was in Nevada. And, I was just basically saying, if Stone Cold wants to have the match, let's have the damn match. I think one of the first times we thought that we were close was around WrestleMania 28. I can't remember if it was on the road to WrestleMania 27 or if it was actually at WrestleMania 27 where we got the interaction of Stone Cold Steve Austin, leaning in on CM Punk and just being kind of like, what are we doing here? Is this something? And then on the road to WrestleMania 28, it was one of those dream matches that we thought we were going to get. And then somewhere along the line, to sell the WWE video game, where the Attitude Era was going to be a big feature, replaying a lot of the old school things, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think, was the cover boy. They did a sit-down interview of Jim Ross, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and CM Punk, and they were kind of going back and forth at each other. If they got in the ring, who would win? And, are they selling the video game? Because it kind of seems like they're trying to sell us a match. And WWE actually had to come out and say, no match. We're just selling a video game. Because Vince didn't want fans looking into it and basically thinking that, WWE was promising us something that they were not going to be able to deliver. I don't really remember, them coming out with a statement of this is not a real thing, this is not a real match for anything else in the history of wrestling. But they did for that, because I think people's had such high hopes of a big SummerSlam or a big WrestleMania match, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk. But on this interview, it was the rebuttal from CM Punk, basically, asking, the way they threw it out there was there's not very many true dream matches left in wrestling. And CM Punk cut him off right away, and he's like, I don't know about that. Because I think he has been asked about this question for 10 years plus. And he basically, made reference to Stone Cold Steve Austin, mentioning that he, would be willing to come to WrestleMania 41. And although the challenge wasn't thrown out there, me versus you inside of that ring, Punk just said it's up to Stone Cold Steve Austin. He even, like, my favorite line out of the whole thing is that his Texas, 6-shooter might be buried somewhere out there in that Nevada ranch. And maybe he doesn't want to go out there and do this again because he had such a great send-off in the Kevin Owens match. I believe that was WrestleMania 38. Would he want to be, training to get back into shape and get back to be ring ready for a big WrestleMania moment? So many times with WWE legends, you see them retire in like the perfect way. And I'll give it to you, the Stone Cold Steve Austin retirement wasn't the best send-off at all time. WrestleMania 19, WWE, and Vince McMahon had just took the company public, and they didn't want to be, telling people like, hey, Rock's going to make movies, Stone Cold Steve Austin is not going to wrestle anymore, and they've lost their two biggest stars. WWE was WWE at the time. They had Raw. I believe they, at the time of WrestleMania 19, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they had SmackDown at the time. Pretty sure they did. And, there was no movies. There was no, different forms of money coming in. It was just wrestling, house shows, pay-per-views, T-shirts, etc. They made a lot of money, but that was all the money they really kind of made at the time. Shit, where the fuck was I? Basically, after he lost at WrestleMania 19 to The Rock, they brought him back. He was like the GM. And then I believe in a Survivor Series, there was like a Survivor Series match where Austin was the captain, and if his team lost, he would be forced to leave Monday Night Raw, and that kind of almost was his send-off. I think that was kind of like an emotional, like, goodbye. I think they were saying goodbye to the Sheriff character, but it ended up being like Austin was gone a little bit longer than they thought he was going to be, and then he's come back and done this, that, and the other. But like the WrestleMania 38, him versus Kevin Owens in the state of Texas at WrestleMania, main event of night 1 ended up being so big they had to bring him back for night 2 for the Austin versus Vince one more time after the Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee match. I don't know, man. Punk was basically saying that, if he wants it, he's willing to do it. So if both of them are putting this into existence, that both of them are thinking about it, WWE, get off your ass. I've already committed. We got our hotel room. We don't have tickets yet because they're not on sale. That information's got to be coming out sooner than later. More than likely, everybody saying they're going to go to WrestleMania 41 might back out a little bit after those ticket prices come out, but I think they're going to be like a phenomenal price. And although they're expensive, WWE, they kind of really deserve it because of how, big they're hitting, and they deserve it in about every niche out there that they really could be going for it. But if you can have Punk versus Austin, it doesn't have to be, it should be a main event of night 1, night 2. It could be a match that's just on the show, but that's one of the biggest matches. It is one of the biggest dream matches that could be on anybody's catalog that they want to be seeing in the future. But if both of these guys are saying that they want to do it, let's do it.